Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us once again for virtual edition of our Heritage Wilmot meetings. Welcome to those viewing online, either live or afterwards as well. Also wanted to give a welcome to Taylor, who is joining us tonight and is now assisting Tracy at the castle. She's going to provide some support for Heritage Wilmot as well, and was previously a student with Tracy at the castle as well. So welcome, Taylor.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here today. I'm looking forward to it. So thank you.
Thanks. I'd like to start off with the Territorial Acknowledgement, which I'll share with the group. We have gathered virtually in Wilmot Township on the traditional territory of the neutral Anishinaabe, Haudenosaunee, and Mississauga peoples. We also want to acknowledge the importance of the Dish with One Spoon Covenant, a peace agreement made between Indigenous nations before the Europeans arrived. It characterizes our collective responsibility to each other and Mother Earth. We should take only what we need, leave enough for others, and keep the dish clean. By acknowledging this covenant and the First Nations, Métis, and Inuit peoples, we are reminded of our important connection to this land where we live, learn, and work together as a community. Next, we have disclosure of pecuniary interest under the Municipal Conflict of Interest Act. Any members have any pecuniary interest to disclose? Seeing none, we can move on to review of the minutes from our last meeting. Is there any comments or questions, additions, omissions? Mark?
I was not one of the people that took photographs, so my name should be not included in that paragraph.
Oh, okay. Just scrolling through to see that one. Oh, okay. Okay, with that edit, any other comments, questions? Can I have a motion to approve the minutes with the edit to that one paragraph, as Mark said? Mark and second Jen. All in favor? That is carried. Next item that we have, we can move on to business with a non-designated register update and photo update. I just put that on here to get a quick update on photos and any other updates. I understand, Mark, you now have a large map of New Hamburg that you got from Development Services. So
Yeah,
that's great.
yeah, it's great. Yeah, it's a good map.
And it has all the listed and designated properties on it too?
Yes, it has everything on it. House numbers, little tiny pink square boxes for the building on the lot, and it's good. Going to be very handy when Yvonne and I get going on New Hamburg.
Excellent. And then I know, Tracy, you received some comments also from Development Services, just some edits to the table and formatting and roll numbers and such. So we'll incorporate those as we update it this fall as well.
That's right. I have an ongoing folder of anything that needs to be, any changes for 2022. So Howie has reviewed the register and some roll number corrections and some clarification on the Livingston Mill property on dividing up the roll numbers there. And then there was one in, I think, New Dundee as well. So I can incorporate those.
Excellent. Mark.
Did we get an updated photo on the school on Sand Hills? The fellow put a big addition on 2-story white, and he also rendered the schoolhouse, which was yellow brick originally, all in white stucco. So I wondered if anyone had taken it, because our photo's out of date now.
I did.
Oh, did you? Oh, right.
I did right after you told us the first time.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
So it's in the shared drive.
That's right.
Yeah, but the most recent listing that you printed out for us, Tracy, doesn't have it in white
That's
yet.
right. Yeah, so that would be
I'm in no hurry. It's fine.
Yes, so that's the approved one from September of 2021. So I wouldn't make any changes yet until
no problem.
Yeah, but that would be
that's great that the photo's updated. Thank you very much, Yvonne.
Marg, Yvonne, did you have any updates otherwise on the work?
No,
Okay.
that's it. The next big job is to begin New Hamburg, so.
Okay, great. Oh, we have Ren now. Hey, Ren.
Wonderful.
So, Mark, when you're working on the, and Yvonne, when you're working on the work for New Hamburg, if you'd like to have a second group form to help take photos and work on descriptions or something, by all means, let us know, and we can double team it or triple team or whatever happens to work out.
Yeah.
The more the
Okay.
merrier, right?
Oh, yeah, you bet.
I have a question too. The map that you have, Marg, where
Yeah.
did the map actually, where did the map originate from? Is it a newer map or is it a historic map or?
No,
or
it's
what?
right up, it's right up to date how we gave it,
Yeah.
Okay.
how we did it.
So
Oh,
it
great.
is, so they can plot a certain section, and I think, is it like 20 by 30? It's
Yeah,
a
at
big, it's a
least.
big one.
Yeah,
But
it is.
Great. So it's perfectly up to date. And I actually have a couple copies. So this one, you can write all over whatever kind of notes. And then I've got 2 other versions or copies of them as well.
Mhm.
But yeah, it's really, really useful actually.
Oh, yeah.
And the other thing is that when we talked about, we talked about working on the periphery of the Heritage District. Do we know exactly where that Heritage
Yeah,
District
it's on the map.
ends?
It tells
is
you
on the
exact-
map?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, good. That's perfect.
it's all there.
Yay. All right.
Oh,
good.
yeah.
All right.
And you'll see, I think it's like cross hatching is the Heritage Conservation District, and there's 3 different. There's like a solid color, a lighter color, and like cross hatching. So it is actually really easy to look, and or you can even get a highlighter as well in color code.
Yeah. Mhm.
Excellent. Well, that would be very useful as we update New Hamburg. Anything else on the non-designated register?
Not that I can think of.
All right. We can move on to new business. And item under there is architectural styles presentation. So I know Tracy and Marg and Taylor have been working on putting together a document that outlines all the architectural styles in our township. And I understand you wanted to give a bit of a quick tour of the document for us to take a look at. It wasn't, there was a link to it in the agenda that was sent out the other day. But if I'll just turn it over to Tracy, Marg, and Taylor.
Yeah, I can give a little preamble to it. So this document, information from it, Marg and I started years ago on when I was curious about what architecture was in Wilmot Township. So it's a combination of a lot of Marg's work years ago. I think Bob might have helped out a little bit. And then Taylor was able to piece it together. And this stemmed from, I think, our meeting about maybe 2 months ago when we were wondering what kind of architecture is specific to our municipality. And when we were talking about how certain members maybe don't feel comfortable on assessing homes or what kind of features. So really what this is going to be starting for us as members is a handbook or a document that we can all become familiar with the architectural styles of Wilmot Township. And Taylor can speak a little bit more on how we're going to look at it and add to it and things, but it's the first time now we're going to get a concise document that is specific to here. And I'm going to imagine continuously kind of being altered or growing and things like that. But it's been great having Taylor piece it together, and Marg came in to help as well. So I really appreciate both your help. And pass it over to Taylor, and she can explain a little bit more about this new document.
Sure. Thank you so much, Tracy. I'm just going to pull up the document, so just bear with me for just a second. Is everyone able to see the document? Perfect. So yeah, kind of what Tracy said, we're hoping that this document kind of becomes a tool for the committee to kind of be able to piece together what maybe or what kind of style falls under different architectural styles. So if you're looking at a building, a home, private residence, you're able to kind of look at the document and figure out what actual style it falls under. And similar to what Tracy said as well, it is a living document. So what you see tonight is not going to be the final document. We're hoping to, over the next couple months, we can add to it, edit things. So again, as you're watching it tonight, or when you have the chance to read over it, if you notice any kind of errors or things you want to add to it or change, definitely feel free to reach out to Tracy, Mark, or myself, and we can definitely make those changes as we go. Now, so far we have 12 different architectural styles that we're going to be looking at tonight. So the document is quite lengthy. So rather than kind of walking you through every little piece of it, I figured I would just kind of do a brief overview of each architectural style, talk about maybe some key features that you'll notice with it, and then also show you some examples of homes and buildings that are within Wilmot. Obviously, we're not going to look at them all, but just to kind of show you some examples. So to start, we'll start with, I also have it in alphabetical order, which I think it might be a little bit beneficial for when people are using the document. If you don't necessarily know what era or the dates of the particular home, you can also look at it alphabetically, which might make it a little bit more user-friendly. So it starts off then with arts and crafts. So arts and crafts style draws similarities from several other architectural aesthetics, making it a little bit more difficult to pick out just because there is so many different elements. Now, with this particular style of home or building, there's a lot of symmetrical or asymmetrical items on the facade, and it's typically low to the ground, and they're designed to use space efficiently and economically. Now, the roof is typically low pitched with wide enclosed overhangs, and there's usually a prominent porch. So I'm just going to pull down 2 images. So you can see 2 examples in New Hamburg. So we have like the prominent porch on the front there. These ones here, asymmetrical and symmetrical. But in the document as well, as you can see here, there is a list of some key elements that you'll notice that you'll be able to kind of use to pick them out. I'm just going to go to Beaux Arts. I'm just going to pull it down to the images so you can just look at our example as I walk you through it. Now, Ontario Beaux Arts style is an eclectic style. It's based on classical styles, often like temple-like facades with columns. The facades are usually lavish and ornamental. Roof is low pitched and windows are tall and often framed by columns. So this is the only example we have so far for this particular style in New Hamburg. You can kind of see some of those key elements around Archipizza. So it's kind of a cool little one that we have down there. Now the next style we'll talk about is Edwardian. So I'm just going to bring it down here for some of the images or some of the styles that we have. We have good images that kind of point out the different features on actual buildings. So the Edwardian style, it was pretty prevalent in the early 1910s. This style was less decorative on the exterior and it was compared to prior architectural styles. And some elements you're going to notice is hipped roof, the brick construction, simple columns out of the front. There's usually going to be a large veranda at the front of the house and then an off-center door in the middle there. And just some more examples. We do also have sketches that are throughout the document that Marg and Bob were able to produce for us a couple of years back, which kind of adds to it, which is nice. So just more examples with the columns, a large veranda, the pediment above the steps there. And then just some examples from the township. And we wanted to make sure that we were including different styles. So it's not only private residences that we have in this document. We wanted to make sure that we had schools, churches, businesses, just to kind of show you a variety of how these styles are portrayed through different buildings. Now the Georgian style, this style focuses on symmetry and proportion based on classical architecture. The ornaments on the building are usually pretty tame. They're usually classical traditions. They are restrained and sometimes they don't have much on the facade when it compared to some other different counterparts of the architectural style. Normally with Georgian, they tend to be between 2 to 3 stories. They have the double windows, single exterior lines, rectangular top shape of the roof there, large high chimneys, and another sketch from Marg. and then some examples as well.
Can you go back?
Up to the text or the images?
The big one here.
This one right here?
Yeah. By double windows, you mean double hung windows. So the
Yeah.
top slides down and the bottom comes up. That's a double hung.
Mhm.
Double windows are two windows together. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
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 It's nitpicking. Sorry.
No,
There you
go for
go.
it. You definitely know, you know your stuff, so definitely helping out is definitely appreciated.
And also you will get a transom, a row of windows at the top of the door, and sometimes side lights, a row of windows down each side. That happens as well.
Perfect.
Okay.
Anything else, or do you want me to keep going?
No,
Or
that's good. No. That's good.
sounds good. And then to add with the Georgian one as well, we have Mennonite Georgian, which is just kind of like a subcategory that still falls under Georgian. So there's a lot of elements for this style that we get from the previous one. But one of the things to note with the Georgian style is they are usually going to have a veranda out front. So with this example here, and then just some examples from the township as well. Yep, Mark.
One of the definitive things of Georgian with Mennonite influences are the small windows in the attic. They often had 4 panes and they would open like a casement window, but they are very distinctive, and that's a Mennonite influence in the Georgian, and there's lots of them around.
You can see the windows in some of the other,
Yeah.
which is down here. There we go. Perfect. Okay, so Gothic Revival. So this period began in Ontario in the 1830s to 1890s. Gothic was an inexpensive but expressive version of homes that allowed individuals to have a lot of character and kind of change them from house to house. So for instance, when we're looking at the woodwork or the gingerbread, you don't necessarily see the same example from house to house that are following under these particular styles. And other examples that we'll see is steeped pitched roof, center gable, the decorative woodwork, which I noted, as well with the, just pull it down there, the paired pointed arch windows, which is just going to be up at the top there. And sorry, Mark, the term is escaping me, but you were referencing when we were looking at the windows of the Gothic Revival, or sorry, the Gothic homes. What were you calling?
They're called lancet because of the wood that divides the panes. They make like a lancet. It's hard to.
I think I have an example. Like there's an example kind
There
of
it
here
is
with your
there.
sketch there.
Yeah, in the drawing. Yeah.
And then we should have an example right here as well.
Yeah, and the finial, that one,
Yeah.
or that one. There's a good example in your picture.
Yeah.
That one right there. That's a finial.
And then just some other examples too. So we have church in New Hamburg, and then this home here in New Dundee, you can really see kind of the gingerbread or the woodwork that kind of goes along the line there. So next is Italianate, which is one that I'm very familiar with working at the castle. So this particular style here is highly decorative. The most common style that you're going to see with it is a simple square shape or an L shape. And some of the major key elements that we're going to see are coins, hipped roof, columns or pilasters, belvederes, double brackets that we have on the top here, bay windows at the front. We usually see the buff or cream brick on the buildings. So again, Castle Kilbride's a good example of it. We also have this home here, and then the 2 other ones down here. Now the log house structures, now these particular ones, they differ from house to house depending on how the logs were fitted together. And here in Wilmot, we're really fortunate to actually have 2 examples of log houses. And features with these ones here is obviously construction of log. In between there, we're going to see either moss or plaster between them, large veranda at the front there. And then 2 examples that we have here is this particular one in New Prussia on Nafziger, and then this one here on Nafziger as well. And then next is mid-century modern. So mid-century modern is known for its clean lines, minimal decorations, and connections with nature. The facades in these buildings have clean and geometric shapes and lines, and the roofs tend to have flat planes and high windows. So you can see examples with the school as well as the church here. So you can kind of see those straight lines across on the roof there and very geometric sides. There's not a whole lot of decorations or ornateness when it comes to these ones. And then the Ontario Cottage. So the Ontario Cottage is symmetrical and rectangular in shape. The most distinctive feature of these particular buildings is the single gable above the door in the center of the building. So this one right here. High roof facade is usually made from brick, clapboard, or stucco. And this particular one is from New Hamburg. Now the Queen Anne, it draws inspiration and elements from different styles and periods resulting in the building. It usually has towers, turrets, verandas, porches, gables, and bays. Usually it does have a veranda, and sometimes it is seen on the second story of the building as well. And down here we can see just different features. So we have wood shingles, hipped roof, decorative windows at the top there. And then we kind of see the turrets or the towers in some certain homes, which I have better examples of down here. And these are some examples from Wilmot as well. And this one here, you can see a really good example of the turret there, as well as the shingles on the roof. And these ones as well. Yep, Mark.
Can you go back down to the one in Phillipsburg?
Yeah, right here.
I just want to point out that the shingles on the tower are slate. There's not a lot of slate in Wilmot Township, but that particular one is slate.
Yeah, so that one there's a really good example. It has a lot of cool features, which is neat.
And it's got a widow's walk, a flat section of the roof that looks like almost like a fence, but it's like
Right
a
there?
porch. Yeah, you can get it from the attic. You can get up and stand on it and look around if you feel like it.
That's a cool one.
The only one I know of, really.
In the township or just in general? Is it the only one?
Oh,
that...
no, in the township. No,
Township?
there are others.
Very cool. Okay, so I'll move on to our second last one, which is Second Empire. Now, with the Second Empire, this style borrows from French historical styles such as the Renaissance or the First French Empire. The steep pitched of the mansard roof, which is this portions up here, allows for a full standing attic in these particular buildings. And then key features you're going to see are in casting. You're going to see different shapes on the roof. In different examples, you'll see kind of like rounded or the curved ones that we have here. Decorative bay windows, keystones, and decorative porches as well, to name a few of the features. And just some other sketches. And then these are the two examples that we have in the township, or two examples that we know of in the township. So one down on Huron Street, or I guess both are on Huron Street, but one's more downtown and one's more in the residential area. And then lastly is the vernacular style. Now, the vernacular architecture is a term used to categorize methods of construction which use locally available resources and traditions. Vernacular architecture tends to develop or evolve over time to reflect environmental, cultural, and historical context within the areas that it exists. And some common things that we're going to see is the end chimney, the gable roof, rubble stone construction, irregular placement of windows, and rectangular construction. Now, I know we plan to change this photo out, but these are just some examples of vernacular style structures in the township. So we have barn, school, and a church. Now, so far, those are the only 12 that we have. But again, because this is a living document, we're going to be constantly adding it, fixing it, tweaking it. So again, if there's anything that you see, especially if you get it once you get a chance to read over the document, definitely feel free to reach out and we can make those changes. So I'm looking forward to when we get those, we can make new updates and I can present that at a later date. So we're hoping to work on it over the summer. Is there any questions though for the document?
just to say that's a great resource. And thanks for working to put that together. I think it'll be really useful. And it's neat to see all the architectural styles all together like that. So thanks. Yvonne.
Do you want us then to email, or how do you want us to just get in touch and just copy all three of you when we email, or how do you want to do that?
That's probably the easiest, but I'll pass that on to Marg or Tracy on what you would have preference for.
I was gonna say, if you email the three of us, then at least we all get it. And
Okay.
no, that would be great. Barry's got his hand up.
Yeah, Barry.
Thank you. That's an amazing document that was produced there for sure. I know a lot of people probably drive by old homes and just think, well, that's an old home. Here's an opportunity to actually obtain information about what style and all that kind of stuff. So love the opportunity for people to learn. Do you ever find overlapping styles on certain homes? Putting that out to everybody, maybe Marg or whoever.
Yes, you'll get transitions. You'll get in Edwardian, sometimes you'll get, oh gosh, I'm lost for words. But there are times when one style has elements of other styles. A building will have two different styles. The predominant style might be Italianate, but there's something from the Queen Anne in it, or it's possible, yeah. I didn't say that very well, and that's not very educational, but you can get a mixture of styles, yes.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you, Mark. Actually, my house doesn't really fit any particular style. It kind of has elements from a few different ones, and we see that all the time if we're working on a heritage conservation district where you've got all kinds of areas where, like exactly like you said, Mark, you've got some Edwardian mixed in with Victorian or Queen Anne, just kind of depending when it was built. And a lot of times vernacular will have influences from 2 or 3 different styles mixed in with it too. So
Right.
Lots of interesting buildings though. Ren. Oh, you're muted, Ren.
You're muted, Ren.
How's that?
There you
That's
go.
better.
I didn't see salt box style. Is that a particular style, Marg?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, we missed it. There is one example in Petersburg. Is
Yeah.
that the one you're thinking of?
Yep,
The one on the north side?
that's correct.
Is that north? That's north.
Yeah.
Yellow siding. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
a salt box, and we missed
There-
it completely.
There's not many of them in a township.
No, there aren't, and we missed it.
Yeah,
Do you know,
so
would one of you be able to provide the address rather than,
Well, Google, I don't know. It's very close to the
So-
church that won an award in Petersburg
Yeah.
for their front entrance, which was very sympathetically done.
Yeah.
okay.
Is it next door? It's almost next door to that church.
it's pretty darn close, yeah.
Very
Okay.
close. Yeah.
Okay, maybe we can do some Google map
Yeah,
and,
forgot salt box altogether.
but
And it's
this,
predominant because of the sloping roof.
The back slope.
Yeah,
That's, looks like a little wooden salt box that in earlier on, people actually
Ah.
kept salt in little boxes attached to the wall in the kitchen.
Yeah.
That's where it comes from.
Yeah.
And then you get what's called a broken pitch salt box, where the back slopes in one direction and then has a little bit of a change in pitch and carries on the slope. That's a broken pitch salt box.
okay.
There might be a couple of examples of that, but altogether you could just do that under salt box.
Yeah.
And then, yeah,
Yeah, no. But excellent research and what you guys have done. It really looks good.
Thanks for mentioning salt box. I don't know. We just,
Hey,
This is the great thing as we are, I mean, this is the first time we're actually have it all compiled. And I bet you there's probably going to be a couple more that we'll think of. So no, this is great.
Yeah.
And then I know I love when you guys are talking about some other things. Like I didn't know about the salt box. So I love hearing the reasons why. And
I forgot all about it.
Yep.
we need to record you sometime, Marg.
We can give it a cool, catchy title or something.
Mhm. Mhm.
I'm not really convinced that we should be using the house for vernacular. I know which the one on Herbs Road, very close to the boundary with Waterloo. The
Yeah.
one on the south side, the front faces north. It's the Hurdle, not Hurdle. What's the name of that?
Huber?
That's
Hurley.
it.
Hurley. Isn't it Hurley?
No, Herbert. No,
Herbert.
the
Herbert House. Yeah.
The Herbert. I think that's a modified, that's a little story and a half Georgian, really, is what that is.
yeah, with a multicolored roof.
Yes, half the roof is green, the other half is beige. You're right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The house is looking a little sad, actually.
Mhm.
I know. Tracy's friend, Mr. Wagler, has the same on the barn.
Oh, yeah. I think we should not use that as vernacular.
Yeah.
Get something else in there.
Yeah. Well, we can as Taylor mentioned over the summer,
Yeah.
change things. And I think with this document, as we are driving around, I think are going to find homes that were like, oh, this is a better example than the one we chose. So I think,
Yeah.
we'll just keep adding to it. And that's
Who's-
about it.
Who's driving around at $2.15 a liter gas? Ugh.
Okay. Maybe we're riding our bikes, Mark. Sorry.
Yep.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah, right.
Hey, Mark, do some of these styles include barns or barns? all-
Barns is a separate category altogether.
Okay,
And the one in Phillipsburg, the red one with the clerestory roof, it doesn't belong in vernacular. We're gonna change that because it's a barn. And
Okay.
barns are a totally different category.
Okay.
You could do a
So-
whole study on barns alone, you know.
well, I remember Bill Dunker did that years ago, and he's got a real good collection of, information.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So, Margaret, are you thinking there'll be a separate section on barns with some examples?
Well,
or-
if you want to have a separate section on barns, the Waterloo Regional Heritage, no, not the foundation. The Heritage Planning Advisory Committee that I was on, I borrowed the camera from the township, and we took tons of pictures of various barns in Wilmot. So we've got a really good, you've got that probably, Tracy. It was all put on a USB key.
I think so. And also I have information from Dr. John Carter when I
Oh,
first
yes.
came to the township to work, and he was doing presentation on, it was called like the disappearing barn. And
Mhm,
he used quite a few from Wilmot Township.
mhm.
And that's when I learned about what a louvered barn was.
Oh, yeah.
So I do have a folder on that one before it was demolished. But yeah, funny enough, this morning, Mark had emailed Taylor and I and said, we need a new category just on barns.
Well,
So
you
that-
need it, you need
yeah.
you need to get rid of the picture of the one in Phillipsburg because
Yeah, we
it's a
can-
barn.
yeah.
But we could do a whole section on barns. They're different kinds,
Mhm.
different photographs.
Jenna, I see your hand up.
Yeah, it was just, I looked up the address of that house. I think it's 1720 Snyder's Road,
Oh,
which puts it right beside the church.
Yes, that would be right.
the salt box one,
Yeah,
and it was 1720.
yeah,
Perfect. Thank you.
no problem. The wonders of Google.
Yeah.
I'm also very excited to see the barn architecture. A lot of old barns are being torn down
Yeah.
and they're being replaced with, much more functional structures that serve the purpose that, but agriculture has changed. And so barns are changing. And yeah, we're losing a lot of them.
Yeah. Well, the one thing we learned a number of years ago when Bill Dunker was part of our committee was you have barns, they have bank barns where the bank are inside or outside.
Oh, huh.
And the one, Patty, the house you owned at, what's the name of that? The Killer Cookhouse. They have the bank on the inside of the barn, while a lot of them have the bank outside. And so, you know, there's different styles with the barns that, you know, have to be considered.
Yeah, it's a whole category. Yeah.
Great. Well, thanks again for putting that together. And I'll look through and encourage everyone to just provide any feedback you have. And then, as we said, it's a living document, so we can continue modifying, updating, and I'm sure we'll find lots of other examples we'd like to include too.
Well,
Anything else on that before we move on? All right, then we can move on to correspondence. And the only item I had there was the What of the Region Heritage Foundation grant program update. Tracy, I understand you got a news release from the region, and there is a link in the agenda to the Heritage Foundation website too, that I think they have a little note on there about it. But there was a news release basically saying what we had talked about before, that there's a pause on funding and grants right now from the Heritage Foundation while they, I think the wording was something about while they go through and reevaluate or re something. I can't quite recall.
Yeah, the review of strategic priorities.
Right.
Yeah, and to review, you're right.
How long do they consider that to be on pause?
till the fall, I understood.
Yeah, so they said that, I just printed out a copy here. So it was December of 2021 is when they opted to pause the funding. And they expect to review to consider how the role of heritage and historic environment is evolving. I don't think it says actually anything in here on when.
Oh, I heard a rumor it was supposed to be the fall, but I'm not
Okay.
sure.
Yeah, I thought it was for this year when I remember it being talked about at the end of last year that it was for this year, but
Yeah.
I guess it would depend how long it takes to go through their review process and figure things out. So,
I also noticed on their website, they are looking for members as well.
Mhm.
So it's nice that there used to be a liaison from our Heritage Committee as well, and to have one that sits on the foundation and then also on Heritage Wilmot, that we can have a nice flow of information and communication between the two. So good for that.
Tracy, was there any other correspondence you wanted to share?
That was all I had,
Okay.
actually.
It's more the info sharing roundtable. I just wanted to mention briefly that the Ontario Heritage Conference is next week. I think it's Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and it's in Brockville this year. I'm not going myself, but a couple people from my office are going and presenting about heritage conservation districts, but more focused on other ways to conserve the character of an area, mostly looking at ways through the Planning Act if a heritage district is not pursued. So there's lots of neat sessions there. There's some information online, and I think they still have availability for if anyone's interested in tickets, but
Registration must be pretty well full by now. It was really pretty full a couple
Was
of
it?
weeks ago. Yeah. Yeah. I
everyone's
wish they
excited to
had
go.
I wish they had the option of a reduced fee and an online thing as well as in person. But then maybe too many people would be online and they'd never make any money that way. I don't really know, but it was fairly expensive because you've got to drive to Brockville and you got to stay overnight, couple of nights somewhere, and then the registration fee, it's hundreds of dollars.
Nick, are you able to share like any of the, or would they post some of the information afterwards at all?
I haven't asked. Do you know if they're going to, Nick?
I've asked that too, and I don't know yet.
No,
I know the national conference, they post all the presentations after, but I
Yeah,
don't
they
know if they're
do.
planning on it for this one.
yeah. No, I don't know.
The Heritage Conservation District one is interesting.
Oh,
Mhm.
yeah.
I could even look at having people from my office come to one of our meetings and
That would
do
be
the
great.
presentation again.
Yeah, that would be good.
That's a good idea.
Yeah,
I'm sure
that
that
it
I'm sure they'd
is.
like to do that.
Oh, yeah, that's cool. That would be good.
Thanks, Ren. I see you have your hand up.
Tracy, a month or two ago, I emailed you 3 properties that might have been missed off the non-designated.
That's
Have
okay.
they been looked at and included yet or not?
So that's in the folder of 2022 updates. So any of the photo changes, properties that we are removing from demolition, some corrections that Howie provided for roll numbers, and then your bit is in there. So I've got everything all in one folder. So it'll be part of the new
Okay,
update.
but as long as it didn't fall off the table.
Oh, gosh, no.
Okay.
Barry, see your hand up.
Yeah, thanks, Nick. Quick question. I was talking to Yvonne a while ago, and she had the envision of having a Baden heritage corridor. Is there any discussion about making something official that way? Because we got the castle, EJ's, Livingston Church, you know, there's quite a few things, but is that a possibility, something like that?
I think it could be. There'd need to be depending on, I guess, how we wanted to approach it, but it would make sense to have that either looked at through a heritage conservation district, or I know there's secondary planning that's going to be happening for the growth area of Baden. So maybe there's a heritage component that could tie into that even. I wonder if that's something that we should just circle back with development services on to see what the scope of that study would be, because I think very all the properties you're talking about are probably within that growth area for Baden or the downtown core.
Hey, Nick, when you're doing a conservation district, how tight an area, is there parameters to that? Or, like, I know New Hamburg's is quite tight, but if you did something like that to Baden, it might be spread out a bit. Like, is there guidelines for that or not?
No, not really on the size. There can be different sizes. We've worked on some that are, only a few dozen properties, but there's others that are hundreds and hundreds of properties. So
okay,
it really depends on the scope, and you can be however many. You just have to identify a study area, and then there's tests you have to meet under the Heritage Act of the different qualities of the area they have to look at. So as long as you can demonstrate it meets those tests, then it could be a candidate for a heritage district. Mark?
I was just going to ask Barry if he meant enhancing the walk. There's a walking tour of Baden. It's really very good. You're familiar with it, are you?
Yeah, I am. I was just thinking there's a conservation district in New Hamburg.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be interesting to have one in Baden that would include the mill, St. James Church, Livingston, all the way, that whole strip.
Mm.
Anyway, I thought Yvonne had an amazing idea. So,
Oh yeah, that's good.
and like
Yeah,
always,
good idea.
It is interesting too, when you think about that area, how many properties are designated. Which I don't know if that is unusual or not, to have so many, from starting even more where the castle is, and Livingston, St. James, like, that whole area. It is kind of fascinating.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Livingston is certainly a theme of the area, and it's just neat that it's kind of overlapped with, you got the train tracks there and that bit of a downtown for Baden, so it's a neat concentration there for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yvonne, let's see your hand up too.
Oh, thank you. Wrong button. Too many buttons. Here we go. Yeah, This was when we were talking about the mill, and we were talking about potentially moving ahead with a designation for the mill. So can I tie that question into this? Because that would be sort of the south end of this corridor, right? With the castle at the north, and then the mill at the south. So are we moving forward with that at all, or what?
Did you mean the corridor, or do you mean for the?
No. With because we had talked about designation for the mill,
right?
And I don't know if anything's happening with that, but that sort of ties into this, because that's what started the conversation. Actually, was when we were talking about designating.
I know Tracy was reaching out to the property owner to see if we could set something up. I don't know if you've had a chance to hear back or anything.
I've gone through Howie has the information. So he's just getting the information for me on who the property owner is, and I can circle back with him.
Okay.
And then
Excellent.
so once I have him, we'll have the meeting. Nick and I, we can meet and then go from there. But absolutely, it was still just circle back.
Okay. And then I'll touch base with Howie as well, and just to find out about scope for the study that's going to be happening for that area of Baden. And yeah, Mary, maybe that's something that council discusses, if it's if there's a part of the scope that needs to be heritage focused, or if it makes sense to look at a heritage district kind of in line with this. We see that happen sometimes too. If there's some broader planning happening for a downtown or something, then a heritage district is looked at the same time. So I think that's definitely something worth exploring. Thanks for raising that, by the way. Anything else? Info sharing? Ren?
Well, it's interesting. I was talking to a friend of mine named Jim Glouser, and he's with the St. James Church. And we were chatting about a guy named Bernie Schum. And Bernie Schum is related to the H.C. Schum, who used to be the postmaster in Maiden and all that. And then he was the father of the two ladies that took pictures on top of the mill back in 1924, or whatever it was. And there was a nephew of his named Bernie Schum. And when he died, he was like 96 years old. And I have about 6 hours of audio with him. And he didn't have any children. So when he died, his two nephews took over as executors. But they didn't finish his gravestone properly. And it's up on up at the end of Brewery Street there on Stems Hill. And so Jim took that to the council meeting at the church, and they talked about that, and they said, well, darn it, we got some money here, let's finish the gravestone properly to commemorate, this guy's life. So it's just kind of interesting to see how we got to kind of finish that off.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if there's any other examples in the township like that, but it'd be a nice finish for him.
Mm-hmm. Very cool.
That's all I got.
All right. I think then we're on to next meeting. Just put TBD on the agenda, because it depends a bit on vacation schedules. So we were supposed to have our next meeting on the 13th of July, but I know I'm away during that time, and Tracy, I think you are as well. So I guess the options for the committee would be for Mark could chair the meeting as vice chair, and if we have enough people around for quorum, or we could forgo the July meeting and go to August, which initially we were not going to have an August meeting, but we could flip the two and have one in August instead of July. Or we could go right to September and then communicate over email over the summer. So I just wanted to see what people's thoughts were. I guess if there's enough people around for July, we could stay with July.
I can't make the July one.
Okay.
I should say, if you were thinking about moving July to August, I can tell you the date would be August 10th,
August.
if that helps people.
Mhm.
And I am around that time. So
Yeah.
August 10th would work
Yeah,
for
me
me.
too. Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
We'll see how much business we've got. If there's something pressing and urgent, we can call a meeting, you know, if it's really something we have to decide
Mhm.
in a short time frame. A short meeting to deal with one or two issues.
So I think that
Is there any demolition permits coming up?
no.
Good.
Bite your tongue. No. Yeah. If people were open to considering August, that actually could be an interesting time to give maybe a draft copy of the non-designated, because as soon as September hit, it goes really fast. And for us to provide an update to council as well with all these changes and updates and swapping out photos and removing properties, adding properties, it's a big document. And so at least we could maybe have a look in August at the draft.
Mhm.
And then to be able to make comments again before, or changes on my end to the September meeting.
Is the New Hamburg Fall Fair going to happen, and are we going to be part of it?
New Hamburg Fall Fair is on. I don't know for exhibitors. We haven't for quite a few years, like probably 8-9 years.
Has it been that long?
Oh yeah.
Because I remember going to one,
Mhm.
Too.
On the Friday
sitting at
nights.
the exhibit, and wow, I didn't think it had been 8 years.
Easy, yeah.
They've been charging us money.
Yeah, we used to go for free and then charge an exhibitor. And
Yeah. I heard Oktoberfest is on this year, that Concordia is going to set a tent up.
Oh, goody.
wonderful.
Ah,
Concerts on the front lawn at Castle Kilbride are on too.
Yeah, this is awesome.
Yeah,
When is your information coming out?
So we're going to be going to print shortly. You'll see our first information is going to be launched in the Baden Outlook in their
Oh, yeah.
June, which
Cool.
must be coming out this week, next week probably. Yeah. And when we were planning the concerts back in December, when we were full on, still very much in COVID, we normally do about 12 or 14 concerts, and we were so nervous about, can we let people in? Do they have to be 6 feet apart? So we decided to go with just 7 concerts this year, starting the week after July.
Mhm.
And we'll go right through to like mid-August every Thursday. So it's still going to be nice, but not overwhelming. And like I said, we had to kind of put our toe in the water way back in December to see what we were
Yeah,
doing.
it's
But
great. Good.
yeah, we're happy to welcome people back and to see a nice filled front yard again, and sense of community and meeting people again.
okay, I'm for August.
August.
Yeah, I'm okay too. Yep.
Most people. Jen, are you around for August if we do that? Okay. And Alicia, were you good too?
We're saying August 10,
August 10th.
6:30.
Mhm.
So if I make the changes to, because our schedule is approved on our website and our minutes. So if maybe Nick, if you were to do a motion, then I can change the July 13th to August 10th, and I'll update our website and just make sure everyone's okay with making the changes officially.
Then, could we have a motion to then have Tracy approve changing our meeting schedule to not have a July meeting and have August instead? Jen, second. Patty? All in favor? That is carried. So we'll see everybody on August 10th. Excellent. Then I think we're at motion to adjourn. Run.
I'll pull a
All in
Peter
favor?
roll.
We're adjourned. Well, thanks a lot, everybody.
It's nice to see everybody. Have a good night. Patty, feel better.